Hey guys, Patrick here, and here's my review of Kirby's Dream Land. Let's get started. Kirby's Dream Land is a platformer game made for the Game Boy in 1992 by HAL Laboratory and Masahiro Sakurai. This wasn't actually the case though during development. Originally, Kirby was a dummy character by the developers until they grew to like him and kept him instead. That dummy character, formerly known as Popopo, soon became the lovable pink puffball we all know today as Kirby. Well, actually, in this game he's not really pink, he's actually white. The reason why he's white in the North America and European box art was because they were still discussing the color for Kirby since Sakurai wanted him to be pink, while Shigeru Miyamoto wanted him to be yellow. But in the end, Kirby's color was chosen to be pink. But nowadays, there are actually multiple colors for Kirby, and yellow can be seen in there, so it's a win-win in my book. Another fact about its development is that the late Satoru Iwata decided to make the game simple for anyone to pick up and play, and it became a huge success afterwards. Now that you know about the development of the game, let's get on with the story. Just like most classic platformers back then, this game doesn't have much of a story. King Dedede has stolen all the food and sparkling stars in Dreamland, and it's up to Kirby to get them back. That's all there is to it, nothing complicated or anything like that, just a plot that can be described in one sentence. Now for the presentation of the game. The game is very simple in terms of looks, which is nice. Most of the time, you can tell the difference between the background and the actual level, so that's good. However, it's still possible to get confused by this. There were times where I confused the background for a wall or something. But other than that, the game looks fine with its simple looks. Now that that's done, let's move on to the gameplay. The gameplay for Kirby's Dream Land is pretty simple as well. As I said in the story, Kirby has to get back the sparkling stars and food. But how does Kirby do this? Well, by killing random creatures. No, but seriously, most of the enemies in this game look like they're just taking a stroll through the stages. Of course, your goal is to get to the end of the stage, like most platformers. In this game, Kirby can do simple things such as moving around and jumping over obstacles, but Kirby also has some unique abilities of his own, such as inhaling enemies and either swallowing them or spitting them out, and flying by pressing up. I don't recommend swallowing enemies in this game, since unlike future games, Kirby doesn't gain any abilities from them. While the game is simple, there are also a few power-ups in the game, so it adds a bit of variety to it. Like how the spicy curry allows Kirby to spit out fireballs, and mint leaves that allow Kirby to spit air puffs multiple times. Other things you can find in this game are food throughout the levels, which heals Kirby since he has a life bar. With Kirby's life bar, he can take 6 hits from the enemies depending on how much damage they deal. Since that's all for gameplay, let's talk about the rest. What you should know about this game is that it's pretty short. It's only about 20 minutes long if you play on normal mode. The reason why the game's so short is that there are only 5 levels in the game. Those 5 levels are Green Greens, which is the first and basic level, Castle Lololo, which is the castle, Flow Islands, which is a beach level, Bubbly Clouds, which I personally think is the hardest level in the game because of the bottomless pits, and Mount Deity, which is a boss rush level where you face the final boss in the game. The level design is pretty simple and easy to understand. It's straightforward in which way we should go or what direction is the exit, but there are also some hidden secrets in the game. One secret in the game is in this level where you can enter the moon to find a secret pathway with extra lives and such. While that's good, I don't think there's too much of that kind of stuff in the game, so really the levels are linear and exploration isn't too important in the game. As for how the levels look, they are simplistic and they look nice, which is good. As I said before, there are times where I mistook the background for a wall. Other than that, the level design is pretty straightforward and it should be easy to understand once you start playing the game. Now for the enemies. They don't do too much to you unless you play on hard mode. Most enemies just seem like they're just taking a stroll through the woods, but there are some enemies that get in the way, so there's that. There are also some mid-bosses in certain levels, like Poppy Bro Sr. and Green Greens, Lololo and Castle Lololo, and Kracko Jr. and Bubbly Clouds. The mid-bosses aren't very hard though, so you shouldn't have a problem with them, besides maybe Kracko Jr. And finally we have the bosses, which are Wispy Woods, Lololo and Lalala, Kabula, Kracko, and King Dedede. Wispy Woods has to be the easiest one to beat, since his pattern is very simple and it's pretty obvious why. Lololo and Lalala are easy if you avoid their movements and hit them at the right time. Kabula requires you to dodge his attacks, and he has high durability and requires a good amount of hits to beat, compared to the other bosses anyways. Krakow is personally the hardest boss for me because of how I'm reckless sometimes, but if you have it down, then you should be able to beat him. As for King Deity himself, he isn't too hard to beat since all you have to do is avoid his attacks, and you should try to learn what his attacks are since some may surprise you. And that is all for bosses. If you have their patterns down, then they would be easy to beat. Once you are done beating King Deity, with your final attack, you send him flying away from the castle, and Kirby gains all the sparkling stars from each of the bosses. He then uses them to turn into a hot air balloon to bring the castle up into the sky, and to return the food that was stolen from Dreamland. Once that's done, after Kirby says goodbye to you, you get treated to this. After King Deity was launched, he gets sent into the ending screen where it says that you can use the code on the screen to unlock a secret mode, which is hard mode. All you have to do is enter the code on the tile screen and you can begin playing hard mode. Now here's something you should know. If it's your first time playing hard mode, then you will most likely die and you will most likely get a game over. So don't feel bad about it. Now why do I say that, you may ask? Well, it's because it's hard mode and a fun one at that. A lot of the enemies do get buffed, but they are still pretty easy to beat, though just don't get hit by them. I say that because the enemies hit harder now, and are a lot faster than they are in normal mode. The mid-bosses and boss became a lot faster and their patterns are different, and that plus the additional damage they can deal, it won't be a surprise if you die to them. I died to Wispy Woods in hard mode, and he was the easiest one in normal mode. And in hard mode, I found Krakow to be the easy one, ironically enough. There are a lot of differences in hard mode, but it's very fun and challenging, that I hope to find more hard modes like this in future Kirby games. I recommend you play this mode after normal mode, and don't worry, it isn't too long, it's only around 40 minutes. Now, what happens if you beat King Deity again? Once you beat King Deity in this mode, he leaves feeling sad about himself, and Kirby follows him in the end screen. Oh, and also you get the code for configuration mode. In configuration mode, you can adjust Kirby's health into making it lower than 6, but I'm not sure why you would do that though, but you can still do it. You can also add more lives to Kirby until he's able to have 9 lives, so that's also good. There's also a sound test where you're able to listen to the sounds Kirby makes and the music from the game. Since that's all there is to it, it's about time I give my final thoughts on the game. I think the game is fun and simple. It does a good job introducing the Kirby series to newcomers, but of course it has its flaws, like how it doesn't have the copy ability Kirby has in future games, and the controls being a bit different, like how up is to float instead of pressing A multiple times. But that's just a minor complaint that can easily be solved, and it's just my opinion, and it's still a pretty fun game. And since it doesn't take that much time, it's a good way to spend 20 to 40 minutes if you want. It's a good way to introduce newcomers to the series, and it's also pretty cheap on the 3DS eShop, pricing at only $4. So in the end, I give it an 8.5 out of 10, because while it's good, it just gets better in the future installments in the series. Well, it's about time I wrap things up. Anyways guys, that's all I have for you today, and I hope you have a great day.